hate Dallas. It's just that I don't like it. So,
Probably
but,
in Dallas.
because I think a lot of, and I love Fort Worth, actually. I think Fort Worth is terrific. But Dallas to me feels like one never-ending strip mall. So like just miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. It reminds me of those little, I don't know if you remember the toys when we were like the kids, where you would like roll the thing and it would show you, it would pretend like you were driving by like moving like a static, like a cylinder past, and all these things would flap up, but it was the same scene over and over again. That's what I feel like I'm doing when I drive through the Dallas suburbs, or the Metroplex as they call it.
This is not fair.
Yeah.
But I'm up for Terry. You obviously dig on Dallas.
Yes, but I'm busy posting the links.
All right, let's flip it around.
find our
What's everyone's favorite city in the United States to visit?
Is there a size limitation? Like a minimum or a maximum?
No. And for me, it's Chicago. And that's surprising for me to say, because I grew up with New York being my idea of a city. And I remember the first time I saw Cleveland and I was like, where are all the buildings? Like it didn't look like a city to me, because I had this image in my mind of what a city looks like you can't see anything but building around you. And when I finally got out in the world a little bit and saw other places, I was like, oh, that's not what all cities look like. And so I didn't think I would ever be as impressed with a city as I was New York. But I really like Chicago because of the neighborhoods, not really the downtown so much, but the different neighborhoods, Wicker Park and Lincoln Park and Logan Square, and all the different cool neighborhoods around the city. I ran the marathon there a couple of times in a previous life, and it's just such a cool place to visit. I have good friends there, which obviously makes a difference, but it just doesn't get old to me. There's great restaurants, the sports, the like feel, the blues, going out to Roses for blues at night and things like that. Just there's so many good things to do. I enjoy it.
Did you eat pizza while you were running your marathon?
Not while I was running the marathon, no. The second time we did reward ourselves with a nice meal at Alinea, though. So
did you really?
Terrific. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Did you order the pizza there?
I did not. They didn't put that on the menu, unfortunately.
I want to order off menu, please.
But yeah, I don't know. I like Chicago, so that's my favorite pick. I love walking around the boulevards, the green trees, the big beautiful houses.
Yeah,
Chicago's it.
I like Chicago too. I don't know if I guess that might be one. Well, I don't know if it's my favorite of the big cities. I also love San Francisco, although it's been a long time since I've actually been to the city itself, and people have been complaining a lot about the growing homeless population there. So I don't know if I would enjoy it as much as usual.
What's your favorite, Carrie?
I like New Orleans a lot. Drew's family lives not far from there, so we just transit through all the time. Kind of gotten to know it, and I really like Garden District. It's really neat. I would say.
How about Tim?
I don't know that I could pick a. So major city above 1 million, it would probably be San Diego. I love San Diego. I think these days, I think it's a marvelous combination. It's like Seattle without the weather. Yeah, I mean, and it's a marvelous place. And then there's a little town that's just north of it's almost at the Canadian border, called Bellingham in Washington. That's actually it's the gateway to the Alaska Marine Highway. So the public boats that go all the way up to Alaska, that are like the old repurposed Washington State ferries, leave from Bellingham, and it's just it's about 250,000. It's got incredible hiking, skiing, good restaurants. It feels just isolated enough to be kind of its own thing, but it's a university town, but it's kind of equidistant between Vancouver and Seattle, so you got a little bit of both. It's a great place.
Nice.
Right.
Cool.
I do actually.
It's no Dallas.
I like Dallas. You need to go to the trendy spots, which I won't be.
I haven't been to Dallas yet. One of these days, I got to get there. I've never been to Dallas.
Maybe I'm not millennial enough is the problem. Maybe you need to be a millennial.
Well, there are some like cool millennial zones, I will say.
I think we should start answering questions.
No. We should start.
Ask us anything. We're not going to answer, but
we should start. No, I disagree. We should start by soliciting likes. So if you're watching this right now on YouTube, please give us a like, give us a thumbs up, give this video a like, get out there and watch a few more videos and hit like on those too, because that helps all of us out. So we appreciate that. If you like what you're seeing, like it. Okay.
Ooh, I'm going to go do that right now.
You should.
All right. I also have our first question queued up and ready now. So,
okay.
While you guys are liking things, you viewers, first question: since you travel often, I assume that's you, everyone, and stay at chain hotels often, why is it difficult for you to use your free night certificates before they expire? I know you have good luck getting them extended, but why not use them in the original 12-month time window?
Well, it's not difficult to use them. It's a matter of using them to get the best value, maximizing the value out of them. I had a night, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago where I could have used one, but I also could have booked a hotel for $105 with 18% cash back from Capital One. So I took that route instead because it just wouldn't have made sense to book or to use a 35,000 point certificate when my alternative was to spend less than $100. I'd rather hold on to the certificate for this situation where my alternative is I'd have to spend 200 or 250 or more to stay where it is I want to stay, and then I want to use the free night certificate. But of course, you hold out and wait for that, and what happens? Well, you get to the end and and then you get a call for an extension or reach for a way to use it. So it's not that I don't know, I don't want to say we've got the right way to do it, but it's that hunt for maximum value. I think none of us are willing to accept low value for our certificates, right?
Well, I sort of think that COVID was like a boa constrictor, all of these free night certificates were like the mouse that the boa constrictor ate in 2020, and then it just kept eating free night certificates, and at the end we had this big bulge of free night certificates working its way through, and so I think that probably exacerbated the issue somewhat, in my opinion, or at least for me it did.
Sure, yeah. It definitely did. And then, for me, I also tend to, when I'm traveling, I want to stay in like the best place I can. And when traveling in the US, that's usually a place that's not eligible for a 35K Marriott or a category 1 through 4 Hyatt. And so I end up, using points instead, or now in addition, now that you could top off some of these certificates. So yeah, so that's for me what often happens. But then I am caught at the end of the year trying to come up with like a last minute adventure, and sometimes that works and is great, and sometimes it doesn't work out. But I would love it if I could be more proactive and be like, you know what, I'm not sure I'm going to use these for good effect, so let's plan a little like summer getaway instead of waiting until end of December when all kinds of other stuff's going on.
Right. Good point. Nick, next question's for you. Can you explain the timeline that led to getting both a 35,000 and 85,000 cert when you upgraded to the Ritz? If you upgraded just before the annual fee posted, any concern you wouldn't get any cert at all?
So the first thing to point out here is that that it was luck. I don't necessarily think that I have like a lock on how to do it. So I got lucky, and maybe you'll get lucky too, but I wouldn't like follow in my footsteps counting on for sure it working out the same way. What I did was that the free night certificate from that account, nothing to do with the annual fee, because that card had already been product changed at some point. So the annual fee for that card is actually like 6 months different than when the free night certificate posts, because the free night certificate posting date didn't change. The annual fee charge date changed when we had upgraded that card from the old $85 Marriott to the $95 Marriott card. So annual fee on that card actually gets charged sometime in, like, let's say June, and the free night certificate had posted every year on about the same date in November. And I upgraded to the Ritz a week before that date when the annual free night certificate came in, literally like 7 days before that free night certificate was scheduled to hit the account as it had the previous 2 years. That's the day we upgraded it to the Ritz. Was there a concern that I might not get a certificate at all? Yeah, I knew that was a possibility. But I had heard from somebody else who had gotten 2 free night certificates out of it. And I figured, well, it's worth a gamble. I'll roll the dice and see what happens. And so my thought process here was that usually you receive a notification from Chase that a free night certificate is coming, or from Amex that one is coming, before it actually hits your account. And so that to me makes me think that probably the card issuer notifies the loyalty program, Marriott in this case, and there's some lag before Marriott actually posts it to your account. So my thought process, and again, I didn't know this would work, but was that probably by a week before it's usually posts, probably Chase has already said, hey, post this free night certificate. So I had hoped that I would at least get the 35K one. And maybe if I was lucky, they would also that same day communicate, hey, give them an 85K one. And that's exactly what happened. So ended up with both. But again, I don't know that that would work every single time. That's the timeline. It was 7 days before the free night certificate had posted the previous 2 years.
What a schemer.
Now, all that said, I should say that so that was actually on my wife's account. My own Ritz account, the free night certificate has posted on the same day in January, the last, 4 or 5 years. And it's been like 2 weeks now and it hasn't posted. So I don't know what's up with that.
The scheming caught up with you.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. I'm going to send this one to Tim. Do you think they will eventually get rid of priority pass restaurants? I can only think of a few cards that even offer it anymore.
Yeah, that's a good question. So for those who are not on the priority pass train, there's effectively 2 different types of priority passes that are issued by restaurants. There's one that is primarily issued, so for instance, the ones that are issued through American Express as a card link benefit are almost exclusively or exclusively do not have access to restaurants that are in the priority pass network. They just have access to lounges. Whereas, for instance, the Chase cards like Sapphire Preserve and the Ritz Carlton do have access to the restaurants that are part of the priority pass network, in addition to the lounges that are there. More and more cards are cutting out the lounges. Or the restaurants rather. I'd be fascinated to know what the difference is that card issuers have to pay for the restaurants in addition to, because it seems to be something that nobody wants to keep. So, I mean, Chase is kind of the last real, in terms of across their premium cards, the last real bastion of holding out into restaurants. So, on, the flip side of it is, so we have, Seattle actually used to be one where we had 3 priority pass restaurants. And when I talked to the people that worked in the restaurant, about 90% of the people that came through it were priority pass. And all 3 of those restaurants are now out of business. So my question, almost the flip side of that, is will we get to a point where restaurants actually can't afford to accept priority pass and pay the rents that they cap in airports, as opposed to will cards eventually get rid of it? But so I could see it eventually being something where restaurants are few and far between, as opposed to the golden age of maybe 2-3 years ago, where there were 70, 80 restaurants throughout the US that you could access with priority pass.
Are you in a priority points? Are you in a priority pass restaurant?
No, I'm actually, so I am in a brewery. You might not be able to guess by the amount of background noise, but I got stuck in traffic, so I had to pull over, and I found a quiet corner of the brewery, but it's not so quiet anymore.
It's a really freaky effect to it, because it's quiet until you start talking, and then you hear all these voices. It's like all the voices in your head are all talking at once whenever you talk.
I was going to say, you should try living in my head for a while. You'll know exactly what it's like.
I thought maybe you're just a schemer too, and you were like, maybe I can work and hang out at the brewery at the same time.
I anticipated this question and decided to go to the airport to go to a priority pass.
Well
just
played.
To do some research. Thanks for doing the on-location research. Next question, we'll kick this one to Greg then. Yeah. What are y'all's thoughts, Greg? What are your thoughts on the rumors surrounding new premium city cards, given the new trademarks Strata Elite?
Yeah, so Citi has trademarked the Strata Elite name, and so the speculation is that they might be coming out with new cards, and because it's called Elite, maybe a new ultra premium card to sort of replace the no longer available prestige card might be coming out. What do I think? I mean, I think it's certainly possible that is what's happening. Knowing Citi, I mean, they could be coming out with a free cheapo card that they're calling Strata Elite as well. I mean, they just do crazy stuff all the time. So I wouldn't count on that necessarily being a premium card. I would love for it to be, because I'd love to see something interesting and competitive come out. That would go against, though, the trend. Like what Citi has been doing over the past, I'd say 3 years, is coming out one after another with new fee-free cards that are actually really good. So they came out, well, it wasn't new at the time, but Double Cash, when they changed it to a thank you rewards earning card, that was an amazing thing. Now suddenly we're able to get 2 points per dollar everywhere uncapped for a free card. That's incredible. Then the Rewards Plus card, which gives you that 10% rebate on awards when you use your thank you points. And then the Custom Cash card gives you 5 points per dollar on whatever you spend up to $500 a billing cycle. And so I don't know, we'll see. But my guess is that we might just be seeing more variations of sort of low end cards coming out. But I do hope there's a premium.
All right, thanks. Next one is for Nick.
Can I quickly, actually, I would like to hear Nick, because Nick and I actually had divergent predictions on this for 2023. I actually wrote about that I thought this would happen, but Nick almost wrote about that he thought it wouldn't. So I'd just be curious to hear why Nick doesn't think Citi's going to actually release a Strata or whatever, Strata Elite or Strata.
Citi hasn't given us any indication to think that they care about the premium market at all. They got rid of all of the travel benefits on their travel cards. So, I mean, I would of course, banking on Citi to be logical is probably crazier on my part than anything else, but it would make more logical sense to me that your thank you premier travel card would have travel protections like, trip delay and that type of insurance stuff before you'd worry about adding an ultra premium card. So I don't think that they've really been particularly concerned with being competitive in that market at all. And a trademark, I felt like people hopped on like, oh, this means something a little too fast, because I feel like banks trademark names all the time, and half of them they use and half of them they don't. So, unless we start hearing some really juicy rumors about what people, behind the scenes have found about this card, I feel like it seems so unlikely. If Citi wanted to compete in that space, they've had plenty of time to do so. They tanked the prestige card, and that was the one I think that they had to compete. So I just don't think they want to. But I could be wrong. I'd love to be wrong. I mean, let's be clear about that. I'd love for them to launch something awesome and interesting. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Tim, did you want to weigh in on why you disagreed, or?
No, not really. I think that I guess here I am weighing in on it. No, I mean, I think those are all good points.
But you don't want to be.
I actually, the whole reason why I actually wrote that prediction before the trademark thing came out for Citi. And it was really? Sort of because it's more just because of I see them really in this last year, and this could be wishful thinking, but I see them really taking on the Sapphire Reserve the Sapphire Preferred with the Premier, in terms of both what they've been doing with the bonuses as well as how they modified the bonus categories within the last. And it's a really good card now, within the last 18 months or so. And I just think it feels like they way overextended their hands with the prestige. Like, that was a killer card, but it was a ridiculous card. Like when the benefits first came out, you're like, oh geez, there's no way this could happen. It's too good to, you're getting the fourth night free at a hotel anywhere in the world. Like, that's crazy. What crazy thing did Citi do? They designed the original prestige card.
Yeah.
So
well, that wasn't even the original, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean the fact that because the original one was even better than that, when they had like the 3 full rounds of golf and all that stuff. or
Yeah,
free
I mean,
runs.
but it didn't have like 5x earnings or fourth night free, the original one.
Oh, that's the OG one. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, all that to
Right.
say, I just think it feels like that they're going to
Good
eventually.
points.
I feel like that that either this year or it could be next year, but I feel like they're gonna. There's a lot of people that are paying more for credit cards right now, and they're the only bank that really hasn't jumped back in with both feet. And I can see why, because they lost their shorts on the prestige, I imagine. But I just feel like it's about time for that to.
Yeah. Well,
To
the
wane.
Premier is a travel card without any travel features, and so maybe this new one will be an elite card without any elite features. So we'll see.
There you go. Could be. Could be.
Wouldn't put it past them. All right. This next one is for Nick. Nick, you commented on a post recently that you were considering canceling your Amex Gold for a Savor One. Can you explain your rationale?
Explain yourself,
break-even
Nick.
calculations there.
Yeah, so actually, I haven't done the calculations yet. That's why I haven't made a decision. But just roughly off the top of my head, when I looked at it, I thought, well, so $250 a year for the $10 monthly Uber credits, which I mostly use, but I miss probably once a year or twice a year. Am I disconnected because everybody else is frozen?
No, you're going.
Let's see. Oh,
You're still
okay,
rolling.
good. All right. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So yeah, I mean, I've occasionally, probably over the last couple of years, had a month where I've missed a month on the Uber credits, and of course we don't want to value them at full face value. So even if I'm really generous and I value those at $100, I'm paying $150 a year then for 1 extra point per dollar at grocery stores and restaurants with the gold card, over the 3x that I could get with the Savor One rather, in Capital One, in the Capital One world. And for anybody new who doesn't understand why it's the same, or why it's 3 points per dollar, I'm saying, instead of 3% cash back, that's because Capital One allows you to convert the cash back to points. So you can convert those 3%, 3 pennies to 3 Capital One miles, and then transfer them on to partners if you have another Capital One miles earning card. And I have a venture card, so if I got the Savor One, then I could transfer those on to various partners. So then it comes down to, okay, so is it worth $150 for 1 extra point per dollar and a couple more transfer partners? Capital One's got a really strong set of transfer partners. They don't have ANA, which Amex has, but they do have Turkish, for instance, and Wyndham. So they have some things that I like. So it's kind of a trade-off situation. So I haven't done the math yet to figure out how much do I really have to spend in those 4X categories for the gold card to be worth it. And when I do, I'll probably write a post about it. But I had just been playing around with the pre-approval tool recently, and I got pre-approvals for the different Savor cards. And I thought, maybe I should be looking at that because the Savor One has no annual fee. So it'd be a no annual fee solution to still earn 3X in those categories. No need to keep the Premier or the Gold at that point, at least potentially. I mean, there's arguments for why you might want the Citi thank you points, especially because of choice. But anyway, at any rate, that was my thought process. I have lots of other ways to earn Amex points. I mean, that's the other thing. So I've been, the Amex points have been rolling in. So I don't really need the 4X grocery
Tired of them?
and restaurant. No, I'm not tired of them at all, but plenty of other ways to get, as long as Amex keeps sending out these no lifetime language offers. I mean, it just doesn't seem like it makes a big difference whether I'm earning 4X at the grocery store when I can, open a new business platinum or business gold card for, 100 or 150,000 points here or there.
All right. I got to cut off the Amex conversation for something really interesting. This is a question for all of us. Which country has the best food that you've visited? This reader says Istanbul is their favorite.
Japan. No, hands down, no question, Japan. But to said reader, Turkey would be my second favorite. I think Turkey is probably one of the most underrated food countries in the world. My personal opinion. What about you, Carrie?
I would have to say Vietnam, I think, because it's just all so interesting and fresh and unusual. But I'm in Mexico right now, and so I have to also give a shout out to Mexico. I feel like they're also underrated for food, really good seafood. It's not just tacos. How about the rest
Yeah,
of you
I
guys?
love tacos though.
I know I literally eat tacos every day when I'm here, but they have other options that are also delicious, which I love.
What do you say, Greg?
Vietnam is my favorite place to get coconut worms. But
Oh
it's
man,
really hard for me to pick a single place because I mean, I absolutely love the food when I was in Italy and loved the food in France and I love the food in Turkey. Yeah, Japan. I mean, yeah, when I went to like some of the better, sushi place or whatever, absolutely love that. So I can't pick a favorite.
I have a hard time too. Same thing. There's just too many places where I've really enjoyed specific dishes or specific restaurants. And so it's very hard for me to pick one. I really love food. So, hard to pick one. Lots of great food in the world. You should try it wherever you go. You mentioned Vietnam, by the way. And so I knew nothing about Vietnamese food before I went to Vietnam. I have to admit, I don't typically prefer Chinese food, which I know is such an unpopular opinion. But growing up, I knew I didn't really like Chinese food. And so I had this image in my mind that I wasn't going to like any other Asian food, which I obviously know was stupid. But at the time, that was my image. So the first time I had other Asian food, I was like, oh, wow, like it all tastes different. Duh. So the first time I had Vietnamese food was in Vietnam and I had pho and I was like, wow, there's so much cilantro in this. And I love cilantro. My family cooks with cilantro all the time. And I didn't associate that at all with food from that region of the world. So I think that part of the fun of all this traveling is that you do kind of challenge some of your preconceived notions and try things that you wouldn't have known otherwise. So I think that's why it's particularly hard to pick a favorite, because I've had so many of those surprising moments where I've been like, oh, wow, I never thought I liked this, but it turns out I do.
Except just not fish. You can't get over the fish hurdle.
No, not fish. I'm not a big fish fan. No, what can I
not
say?
Not even that angry fish that was at Le Meridian Maldives.
Especially not the angry fish.
Oh man,
from Meridian Maldives. No, I'm not a fish or seafood person. This is a texture thing. I don't like the texture of fish and seafood.
Is it like the texture of Lord of the Rings? Is that the problem?
There's something similar in them. Yeah,
man.
Right. Squishy and slimy. And
we should have made your 3 Cards, 3 Continents prize like a fish dinner and Lord of the Rings.
You could have. Opportunity missed.
Yes. All right. Any other closing thoughts on this before we move on?
I totally agree with you. Mexico City, to me, most underrated food city in North America.
So good.
Food city. Incredible food city.
So good. If you can get, do you know that there's a seasonal dish that's a pepper with walnut sauce?
With the tricolor.
Chili's and nogado. Yeah.
Yes.
That's like the best. Get it if you can. All right. So can somebody quick answer everyone as to where Dr. Pepper is tonight? Someone want to share?
He is asleep somewhere wonderful, I'm sure.
He's sleeping in paradise in Mauritius, so we miss him. But
on the other side of the world.
All right, I'm going to toss this one to Tim. This person asks, if I pay my daughter's phone bill with one of my cards that provides insurance, will she be covered?
I think Nick has done more of this stuff on cell phone insurance. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes. That actually varies by card, though, doesn't it?
It's not totally clear to me. So, I mean, in our case, we've had the situation on both ends where the bill is the bill's in my name, the phone bill's in my name, and we've paid it with my wife's card, my wife's Amex card, and had been able to successfully make an Amex insurance claim. So, because her phone number is on there now. I don't know how they verify that, apart from the fact that on T-Mobile, you can like edit the name on each individual line. And so, the line has her name on it. So that's why I said it was her, her phone, it was her phone. I mean, but that was the only proof that I had to submit with the claim. So I don't know if there's a line, I don't know where the line is on that in terms of who you can pay the bill for and get insured. It hasn't been an issue that the bill's in my name and she pays it.
Yeah, I remember seeing years ago going through, but it's actually been some time, like going through the ink cash terms for the cell phones. And at that point, it said it had something to do, or it said it had like a household restriction but then it was unclear about whether or not like they didn't enforce that, because what if it was your business phone and your business wasn't actually in the house? Like
Right.
if you actually had business locations at different locations, but it was the same business, like how would they enforce that? So it seemed like, and from data points, it felt like that was kind of loosey-goosey, but then I've heard of other cards, and I can't think of any off the top of my head right now, that are actually a little more strict about it being in your own name. But I mean, all that to say, don't know. Honestly,
Not sure.
I don't think it's clear. I don't think anybody
Yeah.
clearly states that whether you can or you can't. So I think that's just a matter of how
Bit of
much.
a gamble.
Yeah.
To say, I mean, the flip side of that is I don't recall ever having heard a story where somebody was denied an insurance bill or insurance on a cell phone that they paid the bill with if it was in another name. So I have never heard the contrapuntal point to that. But
Good point.
Good question. All right, this one is definitely for Greg. Any suggestions about fjord cruises, tours, experiences, hotels, etc.? Bergen, Trondheim?
Because I'm the expert. I spent 2 nights in Bergen. That's the extent of my experience in Norway. What we did was we booked, I don't remember the name of the tour, but a tour that drove us in a van to the narrow fjord. So if you Google like tours from Bergen, I'm sure you'll find the one that goes. I think there's only one that does a day tour to narrow fjord, and that's what we did. It was good, although I think you could. I think you could pretty easily self-drive that if you're renting a car and save a lot, and then just book the the boat part of it, because most of the day is spent actually driving, not on the fjord. But I picked that one because the narrow fjord is supposed to be the most scenic of all of them. That said, I talked to someone on that same tour who did one right from Bergen, where she got on a boat right in Bergen and went up a different fjord, and said, it was different, but she loved that experience just as much. So I think going back, I would try that. But if you've never been in narrow fjord, it might be worth that experience too. It was really good. So I don't know what to tell you about that. As far as hotels, I stayed at something called Hotel Number 13, which is really cheap with choice points. It was really well located, but there are other options. I was very constrained with my budget. So there's another choice option that's just a little bit more and right on the water. I would probably try that. Or there's also I think it's a category 4 Hyatt SLH, is it? Tim is nodding because I know Tim asked me about that. Do you remember the name of it, Tim?
Oh, no, I can't, but it's right in the center of town. It actually looks pretty cool. I can't remember the name right offhand, but it is a category 4.
Yeah. So if you look on Hyatt's website, you find it.
Alrighty, we'll move along. This one, let's see, whose turn is it now? We'll say Nick. If I get a free Hyatt night, who gets the qualifying night? Me or my guest?
If you gift
If I
it,
gift,
yeah.
sorry, if I gift. Yeah.
Yeah, if you gift it, the guest, the person staying is supposed to get the elite qualifying nights. And I say supposed to because every now and then that gets messed up and the giver might still get the elite qualifying nights, but it's not supposed to work that way. The person you give the certificate to should get the elite qualifying nights. And if anything else happens, that was an error.
Alrighty. Anything else to add, or shall we move along? Okay, I think Tim's turn. Does credit card travel protection, maybe this is a Nick one still, I don't know who knows the protection questions. Does credit card travel protection apply to repriced tickets? For example, using the change flight feature on Southwest, new flight is paid for by travel credit from the old flight.
Oh, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the answer
Anybody
to
know?
this.
All right, you
My-
stumped us.
My assumption is that there might be, and again, I think, it's hard to, kind of going back to the cell phone insurance, but it's hard to say with a blanket statement, credit card travel insurance, because there's so much variance in terms of how things are applied or what they apply to. But I have heard of people having issues with, and it might be your mileage may vary sort of situation, but having issues with applying a credit card insurance policy to a different flight number, for instance, because they actually repriced it. And so the flight number that they were trying to get insurance for actually was different from the flight number that they had originally purchased.
Yeah.
I don't know how widespread that is. And I've heard of that, like that's literally one data point that I heard at one point. But so
Yeah, I have no experience with this either, but my guess is that it's going to be really tough getting any help with a claim where the original purchase doesn't match the ticket that was actually flown. So, yeah. But I don't know, what can be done about that. If the new flight was like a little more expensive and you pay the difference with your credit card, at least Chase cards, they'll cover you even if you only pay a little bit of the amount. So that would be good. But if the flight was the same price or less, I don't know.
Yeah, so Southwest, if it was like a lesser price, if it was an award flight and it was a lesser priced award flight, I think your best bet would be to just, rather than change, cancel and rebook. So that way the taxes on that flight are charged to your card that offers travel insurance. If it was a cash booking, though, I've always wondered how that would work. But the problem with insurance claims is there's no way to test that. It's just things have to go wrong, and we haven't had that thing go wrong yet for us. And B, even if we do have a test data point for it, it's still kind of hard to say because, like Tim said, there's a lot of variances. It's up to a claims adjuster. Ultimately, it's up to a human being to decide. So I feel like there's always going to be some variance there. But I think Greg's right. I think you're in for an uphill battle.
So Nick, you keep testing cell phone insurance by breaking your cell phones. Maybe there's something similar you could be doing here with flying.
Perhaps. I think my wife would not enjoy that nearly as much. Not that she enjoys the broken phones either. Let's be clear.
I don't think the other passengers would like that either.
No, probably not.
With how close you were packing your flights in 3 cards, 3 continents, I feel like you gave it an honest effort.
That's true.
Speaking of 3 cards, 3 continents, I think it's Greg's turn for a question. On the 3 cards, 3 continents challenge, didn't you already have those great cards and previously had received the bonuses? Were you able to churn them?
No. So when we did the card draft for 3 cards, 3 continents, and each picked 3 cards, what we were really picking was our budget for the trip. We were not literally signing up for those cards and getting the bonus at that time. We were just picking 3 cards, looking at what the sign up bonus was and saying, that's our budget. All of us in the contest already had probably millions of points each. So we didn't need new points in order to sort of pretend we're using the points from those 3 sign up bonuses.
All right, that answers that. Thank you. Now to Nick. If you have an elevated Amex referral offer, say the current gold 90,000, if you don't spend on that card for a few months to focus on another card, will that elevated offer stay or could it go away?
Nobody knows. And I don't think anybody knows whether spending or not spending has anything to do with it at all. There's no rhyme or reason to how Amex decides when you're going to have a better referral offer or worse referral. Nobody knows. So that's the only answer to that. On the previous question, really quickly, with the one that Greg just answered about the 3 cards, 3 continents, I also want to make it clear that we weren't trying to deceive anybody into thinking that we applied for those cards. We did mention a number of times in posts that we weren't really applying for the cards. So I just want to be clear that it was like we were as clear as we could be about that too, that we weren't actually applying for the cards. I don't want you to think that we tried to trick you guys because we didn't. We were just making the stuff.
Good clarification.
We are schemy people, but we
are scheming. We weren't scheming in that way.
All right, Tim. Hilton 3-night certificates, supposedly transferable between family members. However, the CSRs at Hilton always tell us that the owner of the cert must be there at check-in. Advice?
So I think there is some variance on this, and I think that there's actually some variance across like times. Like it seems like at times there are different sort of things people are able to do with these Hilton 3-night certs. Is there a hard and fast rule that they're transferable between family members? I haven't ever heard that. I mean, I've heard of people be able to get but like, so for instance, my wife and I actually we did a 4-night reservation at the Waldorf Astoria in Los Cabos, the Pedregal, and it was 2 of each, and they would not let us transfer. And I don't know that I haven't ever heard that it's an actual in the terms rule that you can actually transfer it so that the other family member can use. But I have heard that they've gotten certain CSRs to be able, customer service reps, to be able to get them to actually make a reservation using their spouse's transfer or their spouse's cert. So effectively, like making the reservation in their name and transferring that cert, and then Hilton's back end doesn't have any way to do it. So I don't know if that's more of just like a variance between customer service reps. But and correct me if I'm wrong. Have you guys ever seen anything that said that? Like, have you ever been told or heard that you can actually, it's a rule that you can transfer between family members?
No, I mean, somebody else I thought had reported a data point that you were able to gift them to others, but that was news to me when that had initially gotten reported to begin with. So yeah, no.
Yeah, I think it's hard to know. My impression with those certs is that there's very little, like the CSRs are trained in terms of what they can use, but there's a lot of actual flexibility in terms of what you can apply a cert to. And Hilton's IT doesn't actually have a hard and fast rule in a lot of cases that says, no, you can't apply that certificate to this reservation. But I think that's where some of the variance comes in terms of the specific CSR. But that's not necessarily, that's my guess in terms of just what I've seen.
All right. This one I'm going to make an open question because I forget whose turn it was. Do you know if there's any website where I can sell my Finnair Gold status gift card?
I have no idea what that even is.
Same.
All right. All right, let me quick scrape up another question then.
Yeah, I mean, so while Carrie's trying to scrape up another question, generally speaking, loyalty programs don't want you to sell their stuff. So even if there is a place where you can sell it, you're jeopardizing your account with them. So I would caution you to know that if the loyalty program catches you selling their stuff, they may well shut your loyalty account down. So it's probably not worth it for whatever little bit that is, I would think.
Probably good advice.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, what happens when you close a membership rewards earning account that is linked to Rakuten? Will you receive membership rewards for your previous purchases? And can you link a new membership rewards earning card and keep earning membership rewards for purchases? Anybody know on that?
Well, you don't have like one specific card linked. So you have like your membership rewards account linked.
Well, I think when you first link it, you do put in a card number or something like that.
Oh, really?
I
don't
think
know.
So. I think when you first, I know it's been a long time, but I do sort of vaguely remember, putting in or somehow linking it to one card. But I think that once you do the linking, it's just linked to your membership rewards account overall. So as long as you have other MR cards, membership rewards cards, you should be okay. But yeah, I don't know. I'd look into the account and see, is there a place you can change it, just in case, but I would guess it'd be fine.
I have to read this person's comment before we move on to the next person. The question, this person says, you all look exhausted. Maybe it's time for a vacation. Try to get out of the office every once in a while, which is funny because Greg, you literally just got back.
Yeah, I'm ready to go again now. That's fine. I'll take.
You say it's all right, you guys.
I'm going.
It's exhausting coming back from vacation. That is true. All right. Next real question. My player 2 has opened 6 credit cards in the last 20 months. She only has one Chase card, Sapphire Preserve. She just received a flyer from Chase for a United credit card. Would this override the 524 rule?
Nope. 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 The flyers don't do you any good.
You tried to answer it as long as possible. I could tell.
Tried to stretch that right out there. I didn't.
Right.
There was some talk about a Inc. business preferred mailer that got around the 524 rule. I don't know if that was real or rumor, but so there might be some that work theoretically, but yeah, most of them don't.
I
mean,
would feel like it's
I
got to
wouldn't
be
expect
rumor.
it to.
If it was real, there'd be like, you wouldn't think that you heard about it. You would know about it, right? I think.
Well, I mean, Dr.
Right?
Pratt wrote about it. And
Yeah, no, I know what you're
as if it
saying.
was real.
I just feel like we would have heard so many data points already if that were real, because everybody would have been, getting the mailers and doing it, right? So, I think it's unlikely. Anyway, I mean, they send out those mailers all the time, and for years anyway, it's been the case that they don't work. What does work sometimes, and I don't know, has this been the case in a while? Those like offers for you, I haven't even looked at those in forever. The black check mark, green check mark offers.
I've never gotten one of those, but that's a good point. It's worth keep an eye out for those offers for you when you log into your Chase account. If you see a star or a check, I can't remember what it is.
Yeah. So it's in the left menu. If you go down the different account things, one of them is offers for you, I think. And yeah, if they have a green check mark on the offer, then I think that means it'll bypass 524. But gosh, it's been so long since that's even been discussed that I feel a little hesitant even saying that.
Yeah. One way to get around 524 is wait 24 months without signing up for more personal cards.
Right.
And then sign up for any Chase card you want.
Yep.
So don't. All right.
That's insightful analysis, Greg. Good for you. That's remember.
Thanks for that. All right. I understand that Greg has Hyatt globalist. What kind of business travel could there be that would require 60 nights? Or if most of the stay credits are from spend, then how is it worth it?
I think you should go on vacation again, Greg.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so my trip to New Zealand, I spent 3 nights in a Park Hyatt, 3 nights in a SLH property called the George, and 4 nights in an SLH property, both of which were booked through Hyatt, an SLH property called Eichert's. And so I already have 10 nights this year. it's just mid-January. And that's not even counting, the 5 nights automatic from the personal World of Hyatt card, and the nights I'll get by like I'll spend at least to 15K to get 6 nights that way. And then, yeah, I've been traveling a lot lately, so I actually don't think it's going to be hard to get to 60 nights. Not business travel, but personal travel for the most part.
All those vacations that exhaust you so much. All right. Next question. I'm considering an Amex business card. Do you only see these lifetime language offers once you have one of their business cards?
The no lifetime ones. Well, if you don't already have a business card, then you don't need to look for a.
Well, that's not necessarily true. You could have had one in the past and closed it and not have one open now, right?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. I had the same thought initially, and then I dismissed it. That's why I said that. Yeah. So Greg's point is that if you've never had an Amex business card before, it doesn't matter. You don't need the no lifetime language. But yeah, I guess if whatever Amex business cards you had in the past, you closed, now you're looking to get back in. I don't know. Good question. Tim, you know the answer to this? Greg?
Well, I think there's a difference in terms of how you talk about targeted. Like in terms of just being able to use one of those links, there's a difference between the link actually showing up on your account versus having one of these links that is floating around that you can actually successfully try and sign up for. And the second one of them, absolutely not. No, you can absolutely get targeted for one of those if you don't have an open business card. People do it all the time. In terms of the first one, I would think that you would have to have a business card because normally those actual targeted offers that show up to your account are targeted to a specific business card. So I would assume you would have to, but that doesn't mean that you can't sign up using one of those no lifetime language links that are around.
Cool. All right. Before we get to the next question, I have to read this person's comment. This person says there are currently 128 people watching and only 30 likes. Hit that like button.
That's right. Hit the like button. Smash it. All right.
All right.
All right. And since that was written, I could see we have 42 likes. We had 41 as I started talking, but 43 now. It's going well. This is like a telephone.
We're
Some of the
saving
other
your
80
money
of
for
you.
us.
So we get 100
Come on.
likes.
Come on. The other 80 of you not liking what you're seeing. Come on. What is there not to like?
All right. And then next up, more three cards, three continents questions. How far in advance did you book your three cards, three continents tickets? This person wants to know.
2 months, maybe something like that.
Yeah. I mean, we started we did the draft at June 22nd, I think, if I remember correctly. And then we took off for the trip early September.
Oh, yeah. So that was less than 3 months. So it was probably more like a month before then.
I mean, because I know I booked mine before July 5th because Aeroplan offered a free change if you booked before July 5th. But then I changed it at some point. So that was probably in August already by the time I changed it, and we took off in September. So some of those, like the last few flights I was booking in a couple of weeks before travel, probably. So anywhere from 2 months to 2 or 3 weeks.
But you were booking some of your stays like literally while you were traveling, right?
Yeah, I think
So
I
you
like
didn't have your
booking, rebooking.
accommodations,
Yeah.
like-
Yeah. It was very dicey right up until the very end. Yeah. Yeah. And the rental car that I didn't even realize I needed. I was sitting in the lounge in Doha and I was like, oh wow, those like Uber things are gonna be a Kareem that they use in Abu Dhabi or Dubai where I was going. It's like that's gonna be way more expensive than what I anticipated. I guess I'm gonna have to rent a car when I get there. So A, I should stop drinking champagne, and B, I should rent a car. So
oh wow.
So
Man. Now we know why we all look so exhausted. All right. Next question. Which Star Alliance Gold status do you consider the most valuable? There is a new HSBC card in Australia allows you to choose. That's interesting.
Yeah, there is. It's the Star Alliance credit card. Yeah, I remember that. So I think we covered that when it was like rumored that it was going to come out at some point. There was going to be a Star Alliance credit card, and then the news hit that it was just in Australia. So, yeah, I don't know how relevant this is for how many people, but anybody have a thought? Best Star Alliance Gold status? I'm going to say it's Aegean. It's probably the easiest to re-up, right? Because I think you need like very few miles.
Was Aegean because it's the one that I think is the easiest to be able to maintain. So just going from that point as opposed to benefits, just if you wanted to keep it, Aegean would probably be the one.
Yeah. Otherwise,
All right.
I guess you'd want United if you're US based, because then you get more benefits on United probably.
All right. Next one is for Tim. What was the hat that you were wearing the last episode that you made people take bets on?
Thanks for bringing that up, actually, because there's somebody who emailed me who actually correctly guessed that it was Blitz, which is the mascot for the Seattle Seahawks. Blitz is a Seahawk, but he's he's a warrior Seahawk. And so that was the headgear. But the person that correctly guessed it, Jay, didn't actually send their name, and I have a $25 gift certificate that I want to send to them for correctly guessing, but I don't have their name. So Jay, if you're listening, email me another one. Just give me your name, and then I'll email it to your email address.
Let's see how many Jays email you now.
Yeah, right. All right. Next, do any of you ever use RocketMiles?
Greg, you wrote a post about this. No, you don't use it? You wrote a post about which is the best to use, right?
Right. So yeah, you could use RocketMiles or an American Airlines specific booking engine for booking hotels and earning American Airlines points and loyalty points. When you do so, I guess the thing is, you're not going to get hotel elite benefits or earn hotel points during your stay if you're staying in a major chain. And for me, even though I stay pretty often at independent hotels, I'm usually looking for other ways of stacking deals or using up, for example, my wife's Venture X $300 travel credit, or various things like that, where it just doesn't come up to want to, because RocketMiles I've never seen a case where they have the best price. Like, you're basically paying more to get additional miles as a result.
All right. Nick, any projections on when Amex will do another Aeroplan transfer bonus?
Nope.
Do you know the future?
Let me peer into my crystal ball.
Right.
No, but what I will say is that on our current point transfer bonuses page, if you just Google frequent mile or current point transfer bonuses, you can look through the history and see when they have in the past. And so you can make your own prediction. But no, I have no idea. I wish I knew the rhyme or reason as to when and how often those transfer bonuses would come around.
All right. I think this will suffice as our last question, because it's such an easy one. Just kidding. This is for all of you. What's the best travel credit card right now? Best bonus. Maybe this is easy. I don't know. Is it?
Greg? Yeah, you do picks every month, don't you?
You're the frequent miler. Come on.
You're the
I know. I need to
frequent
update for January. I haven't even done it.
Best travel credit card right now. Do we
I
not
mean,
know?
not counting the bonus, I guess I would say that the Sapphire Reserve is there's so many factors you'd have to judge it on, that, and any of like a dozen cards I could argue is the best. But as far as sort of like in general, without giving any context, I think the Sapphire Reserve is probably the best travel card, because you earn 3 points per dollar on any travel purchases as well as dining, and you get the best automatic travel protection when you use the card to pay, and so from those point of views, it's probably the best. It certainly doesn't have the best welcome bonus. I mean, that would be maybe the Amex Platinum 150K offer that's available right now.
Well, if that one was too mild of a question for us, I do have one more if we want, unless you guys have thoughts on that.
Well,
I think we can actually, and I'm just going to throw in, I think that and it's hard. What Greg is saying is correct, because there's a lot of different factors. You're talking about flights, you're talking about all over, you just want one card to put all of your travel on. You're talking about protections versus rewards, or you're talking about a magic sort of equilibrium between all of them. But the next question is, which premium credit card insurance is best for car rental? In terms of the premium credit cards that offer credit card insurance, or they offer car rental insurance. And to go on Greg's basic thing, the Chase Sapphire Reserve is by far the best. They have a marvelous credit card insurance or car rental insurance, and it's easier to use. They pay out on it, and combined with the travel protections, the rewards, and everything, I do think that makes the Sapphire Reserve a pretty compelling card.
Okay, I'm going to agree with all that, but now I'm going to say, okay, the best bonus. I think it's interesting because my instinct would have been same as Greg, the Amex Platinum. But one point that's come up from readers a number of times, and so I think this is an interesting question. I want to get Greg's take on it in under 2 minutes. Which bonus is better, the Amex Platinum 150K bonus or the Ink Cash Ink Business Unlimited 90K? And $7,500 spend. So it's a little bit more spend. Points are worth, well, I don't know. It depends. I mean, if you value transfers to Hyatt, you're looking at what, $1,800 worth of Hyatt points with that 90K offer, and no hoops to jump through, no annual fee, versus the $700 that you have to pay for the Amex Platinum card in order to get 150,000 points. So I don't know what your net, what you're going to count as your net bonus on the Platinum card. Which one's better, Platinum or in cash? Let's say.
I feel like you guys did a podcast on this, didn't you?
We could. Maybe we should. Yeah, I mean, you can't say there's no hoops, because you need a card with an annual fee in order for those points to be transferable and worth, worth as much as you were saying. So, so there's a little hoops, but yeah, not as much maybe as the $695 annual fee of the Platinum card. Yeah, I mean, it comes down to what are you going to end up doing with your points? Because if you want to transfer them to foreign airline programs in order to book incredibly valuable awards, then I think Nick wrote a few posts recently that would tell you how much value you could get from your Amex points, and how unless you're doing Hyatt, you might not be wanting to get too many more of those chase points. But yeah, so I can argue either way on that one.
All right. Well, that brings us to 9. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you have time, hit the like one more time.
That's right.
Subscribe if you haven't already.
No, don't hit it one more time, because if you hit it one more time, you're going to unlike it, Carrie.
Okay, don't do that.
Don't let us know what Carrie said.
We're up to
haven't hit like,
74
hit the like
likes right now.
Very
so that's great. So,
We probably
so
had 75
75 of you. We love you. The other, I don't know,
50 something or whatever.
I don't know how many people are on.
You know what? Those people just hit it too many times. That's probably what happened. Make
That's
sure
right.
to add number of times.
They
One
They
time.
all
Thank you
liked
so
it,
much.
and then I screwed it up.
Right.
Cool. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everyone.